Hello, everyone. I'm Felicia Rondo, and that's Close over there.
Did you know I've been sick for a month?
Yeah. So
That's why we haven't streamed in a month.
we haven't, and it's really rough. But we're back again, and today we're looking at a comic we did like. Yeah. So this is
Um, yeah, so I just wanna, I just wanna,
what's up?
uh, I just wanna state how unfair it is
Hmm.
about how sick I have been.
Yeah.
When we last streamed, it was a month ago. I was already under the weather then. I'd been under the weather since before the year started. Basically, the day after we streamed, I just got sicker, to the point where we couldn't have streamed that next day. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that would have been right out, let me tell you what. I have spent just it was like 2.5 weeks. I was totally just way too sick to do anything. And then even when I got out of that, my throat has not recovered. I might speak a little softly throughout this,
Mm-hmm.
and my voice might sound a little strained because it is a little strained. I'm mostly better, but like this lingering, like, I don't know, 3 to 5% sick is just not going away. It kind of sucks. It's been getting in the way of me living my life just a little bit.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Deepest sympathies.
as a result, we are here, um, not with just issue 3 of this comic, but issue 3 and 4, because when issue 3 came out, I was too sick to read it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we only actually got around to reading it like a couple days ago.
Yeah. And then we read issue 4 today.
Yeah, like just today, actually, we are hot off the presses on having experienced the fourth issue of this comic, which we'll be getting to in the second half of this review.
Yeah. But to recap, we covered issue 1 and 2 like you mentioned. Um and throughout that review, I believe you remarked upon how improbable it was that we were having such a good time cuz
Honestly,
this Batman and Joker the Deadly Duo comic series, it's it's a bit on the gritty side. There's gore.
yeah,
There's a lot of like dark subject matter in it.
and I mean the art itself is very very sketchy, very like you know, um, it has a particular attitude to the art that honestly at first made me feel when I remember when the previews
Mm-hmm.
pages I think for issue 1 were happening. Um, I mean, it was also a particularly dark scene with the
Yeah.
whole Harley Quinn in a whole, not just dark, but like physically, the lighting of the scene
Yeah.
was very dark.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very indistinct, which thankfully has not carried through to the series overall, which I've not had a trouble visually parsing.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, it's a limited series that's been made up of all the sorts of parts that like could have made it absolutely insufferable. But what's ended up happening instead is we've kind of been loving it.
yeah, yeah.
And it's funny because usually we have a pretty good nose for this sort of thing. Just kind of, oh, this looks like it's going to be awful, and wouldn't you know it, it is. We wasted four
Yeah.
issues on a really shitty series that didn't go anywhere. But
Hmm.
here we're 4 issues in, and it still doesn't suck.
Yeah. Definitely, I think my overall media barometer for if I will enjoy something or not is pretty finely tuned.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, you know, gosh, I remember we were like kind of hoping it would be okay.
Yeah, because it's Batman and the Joker teaming up.
Yeah, and like I would like a fun series about Batman and the Joker teaming up. I'm getting one. I just didn't think I'd be getting one. I didn't really
Yeah.
think it.
Hmm. Wouldn't you fucking know it? But yeah, so here we are in books 3 and 4, how about we jump in and look at this first cover?
Yeah. The covers aren't being fully showcased on our video, but you can easily look them up yourself, or pick up these comics and enjoy them.
Yeah.
Either in your hands physically, wherever those happen,
Mm-hmm.
or on your own screens with digital copies that are easily findable and available places where comics are sold.
Yeah. And in this first cover, I think we got like most of its content
Yeah,
here.
we've got the main important parts on screen.
Yeah. We see the Joker wearing a kinky leather mask.
Yeah, which he was placed into last issue, I believe.
And he is cutting out paper bats.
Well, bat confettis.
Yeah, but this last one, it looks like it's gonna cut right in half.
Well, you
No.
can't see it. You can't see it very good because of the mask. You have to look through the zippers.
Hmm.
It's a wonder he managed to make all these bats.
He's really comical when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the cover. I like this cover. It's pretty cute. It matches the tone of the comic pretty darn well, I think.
Yeah.
And when you open the book, there's a Dawn of DC ad for the storytelling initiative, whatever. But like after that, you get the actual first page of the comic, which takes
Yeah.
place right after the end of last issue.
As people may recall, last issue, Dick Grayson,
Mm-hmm.
who had come by, good old Nightwing, he was watching the Batcave, but was taking a little nap when the evil tooth that they pulled out of Batman started growing a lot.
Which is pretty fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a thing, and it's causing a biological event, level 3 lockdown enabled, in the Batcave.
It's pretty bad that happened.
Yeah. Alfred's pretty alarmed as he asks Master Dick what happened, and Dick is feeling pretty bad about falling asleep and this happening, but Alfred's pretty good about just reassuring him.
Yeah. Saying that they're all quite tired. And noting that it's probably best to check on the Joker, who is still in his zippered up mask with his headphones, listening to something that is almost certainly not Dancing Queen.
you know, he just even looks like he's smiling, even with it on.
Yeah, honestly, it's a very fun bit of art going on with the mask and all that.
Yeah, yeah. And then we cut back to Batman, who is in the Wayne Recycling place where he is taking up the Joker's just horrible mission that the main villain of the comic has assigned him, which is deciding which of two parents deserves to die more.
Yeah.
Not gonna really make Batman feel like a happy camper, this challenge.
Yeah, and probably not helping at all either that their son is named Thomas.
Yeah. The villain really just dug deep to find these particular people.
Oh man, this villain is just accidentally into so much Batman trauma,
Yeah.
which will continue.
This could have sucked, God, but somehow it's good. So we have Batman narrating about the history of Wayne Recycling, how it's been shuttered, and how it hasn't been moving until tonight.
Yeah.
And
he goes over basically what you just said, recapping, the last scene he had in issue 2, where he came here and has been given this choice you described.
yeah. to the Joker, the death of innocence means nothing. Batman's here because it means everything.
It's a good line.
Mm-hmm. The torturous villain tells Batman that he has 9 minutes left. And so Batman has been given this task, and so he is trying to determine which of these two parents deserves to die more.
Yeah, he's got a huge box full of documents that he has, as we open the scene, already spread out all over the floor. Actually, he's got tons of boxes now that I look at it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Wow, so many. He says dozens of documents, but this must easily be hundreds. There's so much fucking paper.
Batman narrates, and I'm just going to read it as Batman, because it's hard to just kind of sum up all these. A mother and father. The Joker was supposed to choose which one would live and which one would die. Everything needed to make the correct choice is here, and the correct is in quotation marks. Make the right choice, both live. Choose wrong, both die. He was warned that if he failed the show, he wouldn't get what he wanted, and both parents would be killed, along with their young son, Thomas. The boxes are filled with dozens of documents, but the Joker wouldn't have bothered with any of them. This isn't what it seems. And then the villain chimes back in and remarks on how vexing this type of puzzle would be for Batman. Sophie's choice. Who lives and who dies would be difficult for someone with an obsessive need to save everyone. And he has 5 minutes. I scanned it. Hmm?
I don't think if we stop to read every bit of narration, we will be here all day. It's the only thing.
Yeah. There's lots of just.
Yeah. Batman remarks that the pages tell a nightmare story of domestic violence, abuse, and a litany of federal charges for William Gray involving fraud and racketeering,
as well as charges of
drug trafficking and possessing for the wife, Lisa Gray. We're talking all over each other.
I'm trying to do more talking to give you some slack, since...
I know, but I also, if I don't talk, then there's no reason to be here or do this review, so I do want to talk. I appreciate the concern, but if I don't talk at all, then there's no point to review. Yeah.
The villain remarks that, as Batman may have gathered, the Greys are not the best of people, and it must be hard on young Thomas.
Yeah.
The father demands that he be the one to be saved, because the boy needs his father, while the mother is like, don't listen to him, I'm his mother, he needs me. And this sort of moment is supposed to hammer home how self-involved they both are, and so on
both
and so forth.
Very eager to let the other one die, so that they can live.
Yeah.
With no real concern for their spouse on either side. It's very clear that the household they live in is not a good one.
And there's a moment where Batman notices how Thomas spends most of his time with his Aunt Sheila and her husband, who have been good to him, and the only photos of him smiling are the ones with his aunt.
Yeah. I do also want to point out, we skipped over, there's a note that Batman says about how they are in the middle of a custody battle over Thomas.
Yeah.
But with his keen detectiving, he has been able to determine that neither of them actually care about Thomas. And they only are really, the only motivation they have for winning the custody battle is financial.
And there's Aunt Sheila and all that. And so Batman, with 4 seconds left, declares that he has the answer. And words that are ridiculous coming out of Batman, but, are appropriate for this situation. He says both of them should die. And
the Greys are not happy with this response.
And the villain is intrigued, so Batman just lays out what he was obviously supposed to gather from all the information he was given, that the two parents are both terrible.
I should point out, while also narrating about how he is concocting a plan to save both of the Greys in case the villain does not like his answer.
Yes. And,
saying if this goes south, he can save them both. Very particularly.
His narration provides a contrast to his dialogue, which is just sort of a judgment of them both.
Yeah.
Which then just sort of, like, brings to mind how Batman can think all sorts of things about people, but he can still think they deserve to live.
Yeah.
Which is, really appropriate and really, really exciting for the rest of this miniseries.
Yeah. And the villain, who we still don't know the identity of at this point in the comic.
He states that Batman has chosen correctly.
As his concern was for the child's well-being.
And so Batman says, then you'll honor the deal. Only for the villain to say, what deal? And Batman reminds him of the deal that he made with the Joker, and the villain remarks that was made with the Joker, not Batman. And so, the fate of...
He says, you offered to solve the puzzle, I was simply curious to see if you could. And says that the Greys were dead the moment the Joker failed to so.
Yeah.
We get a close-up on Lisa saying, oh my god, as she realizes she's about to die. And then Batman, while he was stating his reason for why they should both die, had taken a little pill out of his pocket.
He tosses it at the polycarbonate transparent walls, and it doesn't break.
It cracks, and the villain starts mocking Batman.
Yeah.
Saying, did you really think it would be so easy? That you could simply step into my world and write your own rules? And as Batman punches and kicks at the cracked glass, the Greys, the ropes that they're being suspended over
are cut.
Grinder, are let loose. And
they are sent plunging into their deaths with Batman shouting no.
Yeah, I appreciate the art here where we see them falling and we see the Grinder bathed in red, but no real amount of gore since
that'd be a lot.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, we don't need to see that.
With the villain saying, it's believed Einstein once said the only thing more dangerous than ignorance is arrogance. And he says, I will spare the boy, detective. I am, after all, not a monster.
And he remarks, like, hasn't the boy suffered enough because of Batman's hubris? As Batman has just consigned the boy, like, unintentionally and through the actions of someone else, but, like, still just consigned the boy to the fate that he himself had suffered that led him to being the Batman. And there's no real way for the villain to know, but it's rough.
You know, the tapping in accidentally to the trauma points.
Honestly, that happens so much here. I have to wonder if maybe the villain figured it out. But
I mean, we'll see.
We'll see.
I mean, as we will see, it doesn't seem like he's figured it out, but we'll see.
Yeah, and the villain tells Batman to go home and that he'll be in touch.
And then we cut back to home, where we see a terrible thing.
Yeah, the scary Joker bat.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a weird worm, because none of this is supposed to be
together.
Genetically, none of this is supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mess.
And so Batman is Bruce is asking Alfred for verification, like how did this happen? And Alfred goes over what they found out about that tooth and the bat that had the unfortunate fate of encountering it.
Yeah. They go over to a big old machine with a bunch of robot arms, which is
Yes.
controlled by funky robot gloves. Bruce and Alfred both operating. There's a fun moment where Alfred is like, "Careful, Master Bruce."
And Bruce says, "Not my first time on the hands, Alfred. Try and stay focused."
Which he replies, "Yes, sir. Of course." Yeah.
And there's lots of just details about the way that this virus thing just grows and how actually kind of the tooth ate the bat as opposed to the bat eating the tooth.
Yeah, and Batman takes a poor fly and puts it on a little bit of the bat he extracted, and the bit of the bat skin starts eating the fly.
Yeah.
It's Dick remarks, probably a good thing we got it out of you then. Yeah. Basically it's a parsable enough bit of sort of sci-fi gobbledygook that explains the weird mutant Joker zombie men.
Yeah.
That we have been dealing with in this series.
And learning about all this tells Bruce exactly what kind of skill set would be needed in order to concoct this. And, while it is quite a narrow field, Alfred remarks, Bruce says that he thinks he knows just the man to ask.
And tells the computer to access the data archive for Simtech Industries. Before we cut over to Harvey Bullock.
Yep.
Who's here at a crime scene.
With a very gruesome story behind it. Just some very serious narration. Oh, this tall, slender man in a hoodie got on a 6 station, headed straight, and then pulled the victim's head off with his bare hands, and then Bullock says, "Yeah, that tracks. But more importantly, these guys really hate doors."
As we see that the back of the train has been busted open, just torn metal and all sorts of records.
And the cop beside him doesn't appreciate the joke, but and then makes a threat about how Batman is up to his pointy ears in this mess, and it'd be a real shame if Bullock was too. And
Bullock, perfect model cop, perfect citizen, never done a bad thing in his life.
Best man in the world. Yeah, says that, how about you take this Boy Scout troop and start checking them? Us grown-ups got detective stuff to do. And it's I feel very pulled in two different directions here with just... Because in this comic, it's been like, oh, the police are corrupt, while Bullock is the only good cop left. But also, it's like, he calls him this Boy Scout troop. Mixed signals.
Yeah.
We come back to the Joker zombie who has the head that was asked for.
Yeah. And we see it sort of trudging through what looks to be like an old disused railway tunnel.
Yeah.
We see tracks all around and very broken. Looks like an earthquake ripped through because it's all twisted. And he goes through into a cave. There's water. Goes through more twisted tunnels. And we see our villain, the Creepy Eye Man, who has been he says, "Welcome home," and as the Joker zombie places the head he just took off from a man on a spike, tells it to mind the hair, because this is a very special occasion, and we must all look our best as we see that there are many heads on spikes that are on, I assume, mannequin bodies dressed up in tuxedos.
Don't like it. Don't like it.
No, no, and this is something that definitely makes more sense after reading issue 4, but we'll talk about that
When we get to issue
after
4.
that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, we make it to Gotham Cemetery with Alfred remarking that they can they do have time for Bruce to pay a visit to the folks, to his parents, but
Yeah, doesn't say it in as many words, but
yeah, for understandable reasons, Bruce doesn't want to see them right now. But yeah,
he does a very Batman narration.
when I was young, I would come here to grieve, to sit in my sadness. Now when I come here, it's to remind myself of my purpose. Because he's Batman.
Yeah, with a very, very stoic look at him through the window as the Wayne mausoleum, I guess, is reflected in the glass. I wonder how many different ways his parents' grave has been reimagined.
It's quite the thing. It's quite the thing.
It's probably one of the biggest like continuity things. If you tried to like put all them together, it's like, oh dear.
Bruce is instead paying a visit to Donald Sims.
Who is at the grave of his daughter Amanda, who died in 2019, so assuming contemporaneously, about 3 years ago.
Yeah, and Bruce offers that she was an amazing young woman, and then Donald just says that she was more than that she was his life.
And then snipishly asks what Bruce wants.
And Bruce says that he wants to talk about Simtek's stem cell research, and that his findings showed a lot of promise. Why'd he stop?
Sims is not terribly fond of this, saying it's an inappropriate conversation without board approval, and he doesn't care if he is Simtek's largest shareholder, giving us some background details on exactly what their relationship is here.
Yeah.
And just states that the research was a dead end, he shut it down, end of story. The FDA let it go, so should you.
And Bruce tries to cool Donald's jets, saying he's not accusing him of anything. He just wants to understand. In trials, the synthetic predator cell was successful. When introduced into the body, it attacked and killed only cells that were cancerous. And that, remarking that Donald was close to a groundbreaking cure that could have saved millions of lives. What happened?
And he says, priorities happened, Wayne. I have more important things to focus on now.
And then Bruce remarks, like revenge.
Sims plays it cool to saying, call it what you will.
And Bruce says some very interesting things as he remarks, what happened that day was tragic, Donald, and I'm so sorry. But making revenge a priority doesn't sound like the man I once knew. Indicating some history.
Yeah, like clearly they had a better relationship before everything that happened.
And it's here
Sims.
that it's here that Donald just lays out the big problem that Batman has to figure out how to solve in this comic, I think. Just I think you were going to read it.
Yeah. He says that man was a fool, and points to his face, which got messed up, and his eye that got lost. We see how next issue. And says, "You really want to see the man I am now? Look there, under the grass, the rocks, the dirt, because that's where I am. Put there by scum like the Joker, the police, and Gotham's so-called protector, Batman. That scum is the cancer I'm fighting now. And I swear on my daughter's grave, that's the cancer I'm going to destroy.
And it just so perfectly puts into stark view just where this comic is coming from with, like, letting your hatred for the people who hurt you get in the way of helping other people.
Yeah. And also, it lets everyone know who the villain is.
Yep.
Because it's the guy with the eye patch that covers his left eye. It turns out he's the guy with the weird, gross left eye that we've been seeing only from his left eye. If you can believe it.
We now know the motive behind this villain.
Yes.
And
more so next issue. So.
Yeah. We return to Wayne Manor. Bruce is sitting by the fire and calls up Alfred.
On speakerphone.
And tells him to move the Joker into the interrogation room.
As he's received a text saying, "Your new partner has a train to catch. Make sure he isn't late." From the villain.
Alfred says he'll bring him right away, and then Bruce says to Alfred, deactivate all the cameras and recorders.
Alfred balks at this somewhat.
And Bruce only stands firm and says, you heard me.
Alfred replies, "Master Bruce, if I may, are you all right?" But he gets interrupted.
With Bruce saying, just do it, Alfred. I'm fine.
As we see him, he's sitting on a chair in front of the fireplace, and our viewpoint is now inside the fireplace, so we see him surrounded by flames. He doesn't look particularly fine.
No, he doesn't.
So we cut to the interrogation room. Joker is there, mask is still on, but he's been unzipped, so his eyes are peeking through the holes, and the mouth zipper is open.
There's some staring
Batman
and silence.
Stares at him, and honestly, when I see it, it just reminds me of the opening scene in The Killing Joke.
Ah, yeah.
Very similar posing. Batman stares intensely.
Scowls.
Yeah.
And then
his
Joker
face
just...
hidden in darkness.
The Joker decides to speak up.
Saying, "So..." We get a close-up on Batman's furrowed eyes, and a close-up on the Joker's mouth as he says, "How's your day?"
Which is just perfect. Followed by Batman punching Joker right in the face.
Just slugging him.
Just knocking him out of his chair, and then ordering, just asserting to Joker, you'll do exactly as I say at all times. You so much as breathe without asking. Whether I've got Gordon or not, I will beat you to the point you'll wish you were dead. Are we clear?
And we see Joker just grinning as blood is pouring out of his mouth. And then, still grinning, looking up at Batman as Batman has him by the lapels, says, "That's a hardcore 10-4, good buddy. This is gonna be so awesome."
It's just so fun.
It's such a wonderful energy to how into this team up the Joker is.
Yeah. We cut to some bat plane, bat jet, whatever stuff as they fly out. And Batman remarks that there are now 4 dead with this throughout this mystery, and they have a direct connection to Donald Sims.
Yeah, because the subway victim, according to Bullock, was Ronnie the Chopper Gibbs, an occasional associate of the Joker.
And the 2 murdered cops bring the total to 6. All of them are tied together by a common event, and an event also tied to Donald Sims. And remarks that Sims had the technical knowledge needed to create the creatures terrorizing Gotham, and in his mind, they're all equally to blame for his daughter's death.
You are skipping over some things, which is making it confusing.
Sorry.
Hey, Freyo and Sat.
Hey.
To be clear, the first four murdered had a connection to the Joker. Then there were the two murdered cops, all connected to the event connected to Sims.
Yeah.
Sims had technology needed to create the creatures, as well as a deep hatred for the Joker, the police, and Batman, who, in his mind, are all equally to blame for his daughter's death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simtex database revealed aspects of his research that were previously unknown, some of which Batman found would explain why Sims was evasive and angry at the cemetery. But there's vital information hidden behind a firewall that can't be accessed remotely, so he's enlisted the help of someone. Who could it be?
Who could it be? Who could he have enlisted to get the information from the database? Oh.
But Batman's main concern right now is Jim Gordon, to be specific. And he's here because...
Stating that Batman is here because James Gordon is in danger.
And through various sources, he has access to exotic serums that, when combined with specific psychological prompts, practically guarantee a confession. The Joker is taking extreme measures to hide Gordon's location, even from himself. He isn't lying. He doesn't know where Gordon is.
Meaning that Batman has absolutely no way to save Jim Gordon without working with the Joker.
Which is perfectly setting the stage for just this partnership being necessary.
Yeah, like, between what Sims, clearly Sims now, and Batman knows it, between what Sims is doing and the fact that Gordon's been kidnapped, Batman has absolutely no choice but to work with the Joker. He tried doing it without the Joker, and Sims killed the Greys because of it. Had he brought the Joker with him, then presumably it would have been fine.
Yeah.
But he tried to do it on his own, and so now he's bringing the Joker along.
Because Gordon has been captured and is being tortured because of his connection to Batman. And Batman's going to find him by any means necessary because Jim's a good man and he's Batman's friend.
And we get a big ol', like, full-page art of Batman and the Joker jumping out of the Batplane, rappelling down to this bullet train that they've been instructed to go to. Batman looking all cool, striking a superhero pose.
Yeah.
Joker just cackling his head off, clearly, all manacled up, his feet and hands, so that he can't do too much, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we cut over to Donald Sims in his home, his big old... What do you call one of these fancy buildings? It's like an apartment, but like fancier. A penthouse? No. What do they call a fancy apartment? I don't know.
It's a big old house that is in the city.
Well, it's an apartment in a house, but a fancy one. I forget what they're called. But yeah,
and,
basically his secretary is telling him that someone hacked. Maybe it was the Russians, or maybe it was the Chinese. But most of the firewall's held. Alright, it's Chief of Security, not a secretary.
Yeah.
And he yells, saying to find out who it was and what they took or find a new job. And
then just pours cold water on the whole Russians or Chinese. Like, Russians or Chinese, my ass.
Yeah, saying Wayne suddenly starts poking around, asking questions, and now this happens. And remarks, well, congratulations, Bruce. You've just been added to the list. And
For the
he
first...
takes off...
Yeah, go on.
He takes off his eye patch, and we see his weird red eye with the purple around it.
Yeah. And now, for the first time, Bruce Wayne is being targeted.
Yeah, so, like, he probably has not figured it out, based on this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're remembering this.
I wasn't remembering it, but yeah, it's very funny. just like, okay, that's it. Time to stop leaving Bruce Wayne out of this.
Very fun.
That's and in spite of the gritty tone, it's kind of a fun comic.
Yeah. Um, Especially when the Joker is here, which there was less Joker in this particular issue, just
Yeah.
because he spent a lot of time, you know, all tied up.
Hmm.
Um, and, Batman was unable to save two people, and
This whole
things are going
thing,
bad,
yeah.
and things keep not going well. People keep dying, and Batman keeps not being able to save them.
Which is yeah, it's fine, he's fine. Just kind of drudging up his central trauma, it's fine.
He's fine.
Which brings us to issue 4, or book 4 anyway, of the Deadly Duo, which features a cover of Batman and Joker just diving down with the kick, and it's all very Batman and Robin dynamic
So
duoing.
very dynamic duo-y thing with, of course, the Joker's overcoat flowing behind him like a cape.
Yeah,
And something I hadn't noticed, you pointed out just a bit before we went live, is Joker has a belt buckle
yeah,
that's got the bat symbol on
the
it.
classic one.
Mm-hmm. Not the one Batman has,
No,
because
it's
Batman's cool
he's
now.
cool now. He doesn't have briefs.
He
Even
doesn't
though in
have
the comic-
yellow.
Yeah, who needs that? Anyway, it's a very
Then-
cute cover.
Luckily, Joker's plenty colorful enough for the both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice cover, very, very fun. In stark contrast to a lot of the events and what's happened in this comic.
Yeah, but thankfully we also have just in general a much more fun issue other than the opening scene. But well, it's got some fun stuff. It's just a fun issue.
Yeah!
Joker's all over it.
We have, when you open the comic, there's a Lazarus Planet ad, and then you get to the credits for the comic.
Which we should probably I just realized only now we forgot to talk about them. But hey, we're at the halfway part in
Yeah.
between the two issues we're reviewing.
We've had their names
let's
on
talk-
here already.
Let's just have some audible acknowledgement of the people who made this comic a reality.
Story and art by Mark Silvestri, who we learned just today is a founder of Image Comics
Ah, I
and
see.
is the
see.
CEO.
Apparently, yeah. This is what I get for not being all the way up on my comics history. I got to know these names better.
Yeah, we hadn't encountered Mark Silvestri's work so much in the past because apparently he just goes independent.
Yeah, he seems to mostly be independent. Before pre-Image Comics, he did work for I
Marvel
think both
DC,
Marvel and
yeah.
DC, as many comics folks have done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not very common to see his name on a DC book, certainly.
Yeah. Maybe it was helped by how one of his image buddies, Jim Lee, is now running DC.
Yeah, that he's just here writing and drawing this really, really quite something story that has somehow managed to be excellent the whole way through.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we keep mentioning how it keeps not sucking, but, like, to be specific, it keeps being great.
Yeah, it does. And we have here also colors by Arif Prianto. I'm going to
Yeah.
pronounce it. And beautiful work.
Oh, yeah.
Very daunting to take on these inks. I mean, ridiculous. The amount of
Yeah.
detail that's packed into each of them.
Issue 3, I'm not sure why, but didn't feature any uncolored pages like the previous two issues did. But issue 4 does, and gosh, so beautiful. Even in black and white, so clear, so just,
Yeah.
and the coloring really, really does a great job. Just all the props and compliments to both Mark Silvestri and Arif Prianto.
Lettering is also done by Troy Piteri. I'm going to pronounce it. And it was also edited by Ben Mears and Rob Levin with group editor Chris Conroy.
Yeah, and also inside the book there are two special thanks given to Matt Hawkins and Bridget Silvestri.
Mark's wife.
Did you check on that?
I did, yeah.
Cool. I usually assume when there's a different person with the same last name, I usually assume it's the spouse or the partner, because that's often where a special thanks goes in that situation. But you never know.
Yeah, but
could be a different Wason.
We begin the comic with Donald Sims' narration.
Yeah, as he narrates over what was supposed to be a day of celebration, his daughter's wedding.
Yep.
We see him, walking her down the aisle.
There's
Everyone
a really
happy.
meaningful first panel with his close-up of the eye that became the evil eye.
Yeah, his left eye. Actually, I think going back to the previous issue, yeah, this continues right off because it zooms into his left eye at the end of last issue.
That's some
and it
killing.
Zooms out.
That's some Killing Joke shit.
Wow. See, this is something you don't see often. It's just one book of a comic, like picking up on the framing of the previous. Now I'm gonna have to check the other issues to see.
Ooh, yeah.
How well.
I mean, at the very least, this part's gonna be very fun in the trade.
Yeah.
Which I just decided after reading this issue, like, we're probably gonna want to get that if it doesn't just go horrifically south.
I mean, got 3 issues. Who knows how it'll happen? But
yeah.
Yeah, meaningful I pull out to continue off exactly where we left off last issue. Donald Sims, in his flashback, narrating, everything's looking great. The priest is there waiting, the groom is there waiting, when suddenly a vroom comes from behind. He and his daughter turn to look as a huge truck crashes into the chapel, running down several men before everyone else gets out of the way.
And then several gunned clowns, or gunned men with clown masks, not necessarily clowns themselves.
Gun-toting men.
Gun-toting
to
men.
be clear. Gunned usually means you've been shot.
You sure showed me. And then
I just want to be clear.
Alright. And then we have Joker remarking.
And we know it's Joker because it's got a wibbly text box.
Yeah.
As he asks, what the hell kind of driving do you call that? And we zoom in to the car only to find Harley.
Who's saying, what are you mad at me for? You said drive into that church, so I did.
And he starts angrily insisting, I said, only to stop and say, okay, fair point. Let's go.
Oh, man.
And it's just so fun. It's just so neat.
It's just one moment, and yet it's some of the best writing of Harley and Quinn Harley and Joker, pardon me, that I've read in years.
Yeah, and Harley, of course, is in her iconic classic outfit, which I always love to see.
Me too. I wonder... Well, we'll get to that. But, so... Joker steps out, shoots into the air, and tells him to quiet down.
And saying, quiet down, you crybabies.
The bride is horrified, and the groom is just saying, stay here, honey. I'll handle this.
As Joker simply states, now don't any of you numbskulls do anything stupid.
And the groom is like, hey, you lunatic son of a bitch.
And Joker just turns his gun and his head, blam, and says, like this guy, for example.
Yeah! These are all horrible things happening.
Yeah, and here Sims's narration picks back up as he says how the blood, the screaming, the horror of it all was unimaginable. And when the Gotham police arrived, they did what they do best. Destroy the lives of innocent people.
Not lying there.
Yep.
Also, hey, Freyo in chat remarks about Harley Quinn, and it is great to see her. I love Harley Quinn.
Hmm. She's been at the bottom of a hole all comic, which I think will be changing, as we get more towards the climax. But it's good to see her in a flashback, not being in a hole.
Yeah.
I mean, she has new rat friends, and that's nice. But yeah.
Deciding which one she would marry if she was a rat. Good things.
Hmm.
Yeah, but we cut to the outside with Harvey remarking that the Joker picked a hell of a wedding to crash.
And Gordon is here.
Yeah, with all of his parts.
Yeah, he hasn't had any of them cut out yet.
Yeah.
And he remarks, Donald Sims's daughter. Christ. Has he made any demands yet? Only for Bennett, everyone's
Fucking
least
Bennett.
favorite leader of the riot squad, to come by. You think he's gonna get his head torn off?
Man.
We could be so lucky.
Yeah.
Um,
Freyo also says, "Holy Quinn," because Harley's been in the hole. It's great.
Yeah, Bennett saying that Joker won't be getting anything regardless of any demands he's made because his men will be in position to strike in 2 minutes.
Gordon's pretty upset about seeing Bennett.
He really doesn't like seeing Bennett. I'm pretty sure throughout the many timelines, it's pretty consistent, at least for the past 20 years or so, maybe 30 years at this point. God,
Yeah.
time keeps marching on.
30.
That Bennett sucks and Gordon hates him.
Mm-hmm. Gordon reminds Bennett that it's not his call, only to be interrupted by Joker kicking a dead body out the door.
Exclaiming, "Yo, 5-0."
And he makes his demands.
He says, "Listen up. This is a dead guy. And there will be more dead guys like this guy if you guys don't give me what I want." Capiche? I love how he's written. I love it.
There's some really
Gosh.
good Joker writing in this comic.
I think the last time I had Joker writing this good was The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
It's just, and that is high praise if you know about my feelings on how well Joker's written on The Killing Joke. His demands are, number 1, sandwiches, good ones from Moe's, and chips, all the flavors. And then number 2, he wants a helicopter, a purple one with comfy seats.
Which just tells me that he's been given a purple helicopter before, but the seats were not comfy.
I guess they had to scramble to find a purple one, and they didn't get a good one. Well, they better have a purple helicopter with comfy seats on standby by now. Then you can ask for a green one.
I have a match. Freyo mentions that they're relatable demands, honestly. Yeah. Don't we all just want good sandwiches and chips, all the flavors?
I could honestly go for some good sandwiches and chips. I don't have good sandwich making stuff in my house right now, or chips.
We recently got chips over here, so I'm living it up.
Good, very good.
But then
Gordon, very stoic, gets a call on his phone, and presumably he looked at the caller ID to see it said Batman, so he didn't even say hello. He just clicked the button.
And then the Batman remarks, "Tell Bennett to keep his men back. I'm going in." And I just love the bring. Like he has this old timey ringtone for all his new smartphone needs.
Yeah.
Basically a modern bat phone.
I mean, yeah. Sims's narration continues with some very, very good points, saying the ensuing investigation would, of course, exonerate the police, concluding that they acted in the best interest of the hostages. No charges were ever filed, but I know the truth. Joker, inside, is bored, and randomly picks Sims to be the next guy to be killed. Well, maybe not so random, because he does say, "Congrats to the father of the bride, you win!"
I like the line, "Eeny, meeny, miny, and Taggart." He's such an agent of chaos.
Honestly, very good. Sims continues narrating, and let's not forget the self-proclaimed protector of Gotham, the Batman.
Who is appearing inside the chapel,
Yeah.
cloaked in shadow.
And we see that there's like a ton of tripwires connected to grenades also.
Yeah! Whew. Joker has a
Joker-
gun to the guy's head.
Yeah, Joker clicks back the pin on his revolver, because of course he's using a revolver.
Yeah.
You can't get a bang flag into like a semi-automatic. You gotta get a revolver so that you can put the sixth one in as the bang flag, and then at the end, haha, it wasn't a bullet. Wee, I'm so wacky.
Yeah. Funny times.
Yeah. Saying, no hard feelings, Pops, but when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Only for him to get a batarang right in his hand.
Mm-hmm. And he's not so fond of that. He's
No.
not terribly distressed by it, but he's like, he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
The bullet destroys Sims's eye, but, he's alive, so that's pretty nice.
And it all worked out.
Yeah.
He-
Sims continues to narrate.
Yeah.
He appeared from the darkness, shadow moving in shadow.
And we get a very fun line from Joker that gets interrupted quickly. Just saying, "Oh, hiya, Bat," and only for Batman to just charge right into him.
Mm-hmm. Bennett orders his team to go in, even though Gordon didn't want that. They charge him through the windows. Sims narrates, and then everything went black as we see the cops pulling the tripwires,
Yep.
the grenade pins getting pulled, and
Yep.
Harley Quinn interrupts.
Boring. Blah blah. Eek! Ah, my eye! Kaboom! Blah blah. Pfft. Old news. I was there.
With Sims remarks, yes, and that's why you're here. And we see that Harley has made herself a newspaper hat and drawn a skull and crossbones on it, and has been making paper boats to float in the water down in her hole.
Very fun. Very fun. Always making the best of it.
Mm-hmm. She's just doing great, She might be stuck down in a hole and all filthy with the rats and only getting like food that gets tossed down the hole. But she is holding up so well.
Remarking that she has a very busy day, so why don't you kick rocks and go get syphilis or something?
And then Sims has some. God, this comic's so great.
Right?
Yeah, Sims paid a visit to the pigsty that he says Harley calls home, saying that it's true that people have secrets, but I was surprised to find actual skeletons in your closet.
And Harley remarks,
Just a couple of X's. I'm a little behind on my spring cleaning. Now go away.
Oh, and Sims is like, while I was there, I picked out a few articles of clothing for you.
and Harley's like,
Wow, that's not brave at all.
and
Sims says you'll find everything in the bag. There's a very special event that you're invited to. Put something nice together and try to make yourself presentable.
Harley tells him to eat farts.
And Sims just says,
No comeback.
as much as I'd like to continue our stimulating little chat, you'd best get busy. You haven't much time.
Had nothing for Harley's brilliant retort.
And
She
then we
won that
go.
one.
Then we go to the very scratchy title page: Batman and the Joker, the Deadly Duo,
With the next page reading
Chapter 4.
Bullet.
Bullet, as in the bullet train.
Yeah.
Or as in the Gotham bullet.
But also the bullet that got in Sim's eye.
Oh.
We cut to the Gotham Bullet, with Batman narrating that it was the fastest steam locomotive ever built and ran the Silver Line between Gotham and Metropolis throughout the 1930s. Able to run at over 140 miles per hour, it set the speed record for steam-driven trains, a record it holds to this day. The days of steam power are long gone, but the Bullet remains in service as a tourist attraction and a popular venue for special events. The train has been owned and maintained by Wayne's family since it came off the assembly line and is considered a national treasure. You know, it's so it's really good that it's still intact to this day.
I just love how, and it's considered to be a national treasure, and then we get thunk, thunk, as these two spikes get driven into the roof.
Yeah.
As Batman and Joker rappel down the lines that they extended from the bat set or whatever to land on top.
Batman remarks that some of his happiest childhood memories are of riding this train with his parents to visit family friends living in Metropolis. And tonight, he rides with the Joker. As we get a nice shot of Batman and the Joker landing on the bullet train, with Batman looking all cool and stoic, and Joker be like, "Oh, cool." Yeah.
He's just got this goofy smile. His hair is just blowing all one way.
Yeah.
And
as expected, the call comes in.
Yeah, Sims, as we now clearly know it to be, is directing Batman and Joker, asking if they can both hear him through their earpieces. In a very cute moment, Joker just smiles and holds a thumbs up to Batman.
Well, Batman just says, yes.
And Batman is given a very interesting dilemma to solve.
Yep.
And a very lengthy one.
Today's task is a simple one. Empty. The train weighs a certain amount. With passengers, it weighs more. Currently, the train is being used to host a large wedding and is full of guests. The task is to bring the train back down to its empty weight. But first, a few things he should know. The crew is dead.
The crew.
Sorry.
Yeah. The crew is dead. If any attempt is made to uncouple the cars or to stop the train, he will derail it. At this speed, he doubts there would be many survivors. Sensors have been positioned along the track to measure the train's weight. If Batman is successful, a final switch will divert the train before it arrives at its next stop, which is important because the next stop is the Martha Wayne Memorial Station.
Which, I'm sure Sims thinks, I'm killing two birds with one stone here. I'm targeting Batman and Bruce Wayne.
I mean, the funny thing is, he picked this one before he started targeting Bruce.
No, right, yeah. Oh.
At least according to the continuity we were shown.
Yeah.
Events might have happened in a different order. But
yeah.
At least, we were presented things in the order of which he already had this planned out before he wanted Bruce to suffer.
Oh, the most sour of serendipity dots are occurring.
Sims continues saying, if you fail, it will crash into the terminal at full speed, killing an untold number of commuters headed home for the weekend. There are 207 passengers aboard the train, but several thousand at the station. Which will you choose? You have approximately 45 minutes.
And cut to the interior of the steam train,
where a wedding is being officiated.
Yeah, it's a wedding! Who could this possibly be? Who is carrying out all these atrocities?
Right before
the groom.
Bride and groom.
Definitely the groom.
Right before I continue,
Yeah.
your silly interruption.
Yeah.
Right before the bride and groom are about to be married, Batman interrupts.
Yeah, because he has a problem with this union, and he will speak now and not forever hold his peace.
Yeah, he's actually a little bit before. Speak now is supposed to happen in just a moment.
Yeah.
Because I believe it happens after the I do's. It's I do, okay. Anyone got a problem with this?
Yeah, yeah. He cuts her off before we can even have any idea if she says I do or I don't. She's just like this could have been the worst mistake of her life.
Yeah. But yeah, we get this very lovely drawing of Batman with his hand outstretched, his cape flowing behind him.
It is just so good as he narrates. At the speed we're traveling, there is no way to get the passengers safely off the train, and there isn't enough time for the Batplane to evacuate them. I have to lighten it another way. And then he says, grab everything you can. Chairs, lamps, tables, everything. All of it needs to be thrown off the train. Now!
And Joker with his handcuffs on is just right behind Batman with his fists balled up, going like, "Yeah,
yeah, listen to us." And that's Batman's plan.
Yeah,
he's not gonna throw them off the fucking train.
He's gonna throw everything else off the train,
which is so good.
It's so cool. I loved reading this and like realizing Batman's, but that's always the coolest part, I think, of like when someone, like, if you're doing a Batman thing, don't have Batman tell you the plan. Have Batman act in such a way that I know what the plan is.
Yeah.
So that I am also figuring out where Batman's head is. It's so good.
It's so good.
The guests all just kind of stare, with one being like, what the hell are you talking about? Wait, is that the Joker?
And then Joker chimes in.
In the alabaster flesh. Now do as my partner says and start tossing stuff.
And one passenger says, why should we listen to you?
And Joker says, well, for one, I'm a superhero now, so it's the law. And two, if you don't, and we get a nice classic, Joker close-up to a evil, sinister grin. And two, if you don't, you're all gonna die. And then hard cut to benches and everything getting tossed out the windows.
Yeah!
It's fucking beautiful. The train goes over one of the sensors, and Sims chimes in over the phone. 35 minutes left, and you're still 28,000 pounds over the weight limit. It doesn't seem like your plan is going to work.
With Joker agreeing.
He's right, Bats. Smashing everything to bits might be fun, but it ain't gonna get the job done. We gotta start thinking outside the box. The only way we're gonna do this is we gotta start tossing these rubes off the train. And then, of course, because it's the Joker, he follows it up with, for efficiency's sake, we can start with the big ones.
Uh-huh. And Batman doesn't respond throughout all of this.
And so, also Joker has a plate of a slice of cake and is eating it, because of course he went to cut himself some cake and eat rather than help.
Yeah. He's supervising.
He's all manacled up, so he can be slower than anyone else. Totally. And he says, come on, Bats, what do I have to do to convince you? Light myself on fire?
To which Batman says with a smile, say that again.
And Joker acquiesces, saying, I said, what do I have to do? Light myself on... Wow, hey partner, don't look at me like that, I was only kidding.
And it's here that a light bulb moment happens, and Batman orders everyone stop what you're doing. Head to the front of the train. Move!
But before we can catch up to Batman's plan, not that it's not obvious.
And that it is a big but, I should say. And, because we're cutting to Nightwing and Catwoman.
Who are both dangling upside down in some kind of really advanced server chimney, by the look of it. Like it's a very tight tube filled with computery stuff. I don't think this is how servers are kept.
I don't think so.
But it makes for a very neat visual.
It is really cool.
With Dick remarking that he feels like a bat, wondering whether this is necessary. Intended, by the way.
Yeah, the pun.
It wasn't really a pun, but... The blood's rushing to his head. We can forgive him now for that.
Yeah, yeah. And Selena remarks, "Look, Buttwing, busting into data centers is tricky business. Besides, I, being a woman of panache and style, recognize that it's not just about what you steal, it's how you steal it."
Ah, so good. And Nightwing, is just kind of like, yeah, carpe diem, and it's Nightwing.
With Selena remarking, "Not with the view I had." Just
Which he doesn't acknowledge, but I appreciate it.
me too. Good times. Good times.
This particular book does seem to be in a status quo where Dick and Selena don't like really know each other that well.
Yeah.
Presumably, Selena does not know who Batman really is in this book's time frame.
Yeah.
It'll all come in time.
This isn't a Batman and Catwoman comic. This is a Bat Jokes joint. For all the Batman and Joker shipping.
Dick remarks, "Is you about done? I feel an aneurysm coming on."
And Selena says, "Almost there. Your boss is gonna owe me real favors for this. There's a lot of fat cats in this town that I could be thieving from right now."
Yeah, like she learned one's going on vacation and has a really expensive collection. She could be doing that right now.
Gosh.
Which Dick just remarks, "That's between you and him, Catwoman, and he's not my boss."
And Selena says, "If you say so, Night Cheeks." And more just intense horniness.
I love it. It's great.
It's good. It's really good. But they've downloaded the stuff. And Selena remarks that it's very sketchy and asks what his boss has gotten into here.
And Nightwing just replies, "You didn't see anything. And he's not my boss." As we cut back to the Joker with everyone else at the front of the train, as he's giving everyone a rousing speech, which we're leading into. There's some stuff that we haven't seen, but with a little ... ellipses to lead in. "And so, if we don't put this choo-choo on a diet fast, it's gonna smash into the station and everybody will die a horrible, flaming death. But you got nothing to worry about, because my partner's on the case."
And someone asks, "What's he going to do?"
And with a beautiful drawing of the Joker, with his hands splayed in a pose and a beautiful smile on his face, he says, "I have no clue, but hey, he's Batman."
It's so good. It's such a good panel. Then we cut
and we cut from Joker's smiling face to Batman's frowning face,
followed by some very sober narration. As it was in this very car that Batman's father, Bruce's father anyway, asked his mother to marry him. Every year, on their anniversary, they would take the same trip and sit in the same seats. His father would get on one knee and ask her to marry him all over again. That was a long time ago.
And then he switches gears from Bruce sort of thoughts to Batman sort of thoughts, which is a very fun, tonal shift.
There's a nice distance between the narrations there. Because the one thought is coupled with three all close together, and then there's some distance, like there's a beat happening, and then
his mind is switching gears away from Bruce and into Batman.
As he remarks, "Except for the metal frame and chassis, these old cars are made mostly of wood, and although we were told they couldn't be uncoupled, nothing was said about them needing to be intact." As he shoots a laser and sets the fucking train on fire. That car, anyway.
Yeah, and there's this huge fiery explosion. As we can see that, he seems to have piled up a bunch of the remaining chairs and the paper and whatnot all into a corner to make it more flammable. I find it a little silly. I mean, it's modern day times. He's got a laser beam, shoots and it does the fire.
It could have been a match.
Yeah, it didn't need to be a laser, and I think it's the kind of funny thing where that's the kind of James Bondsy gadget that would, in older times, a couple decades ago would be a kind of a goofy thing to pull out. It's like, ooh, advanced science. But like nowadays, it's just so banal that yeah, Batman just takes a high-powered laser out of his pocket and lights a fire with it because he does.
The people at the Martha Wayne Memorial Station are seeing the train on its way and are, understandably, pretty not thrilled by it.
Yeah, remarking that one guy's like, "Hey Marty, only train doing is the bullet, right?"
Mm-hmm.
The guy's like, "Yeah, why?"
It's on
We
fire!
think it's on fire. Get him on the radio and find out what the hell's going on.
But the radio's dead.
Yeah, Marty finds that not only is the radio dead, but the rail switches all immediately go offline as soon as he tries to interact with his computer.
Fucked up, honestly.
And he says to Lou that the train's head straight for them, and they can't stop it. As we cut back to the train, more on fire than before.
Yes.
The fire rapidly spreading to the front of the train.
With a passenger asking Batman if it was true what the Joker said, that they're all going to die.
Another remarks that he has a daughter and still have no one.
And then Batman says in a much more inspiring speech than Joker's, and which is given even more weight since we've been given the context for what the significance the bullet train has for Bruce.
Yeah.
He says, "Listen to me. We are going to tear this train apart with our bare hands. We're going to tear it apart and burn it down. No one is going to die today." And it just...
Yeah. As they continue to try and lighten the load, Joker remarks, "I don't know, Bats. I don't think your fire trick's gonna do it. I say we cut bait, head home, and do better next time."
With Sims agreeing with Joker's, observation. Saying the Joker isn't wrong, and the train is lightening considerably. But they're running out of time.
And once they pass the final switch, there will be nothing to stop it from hitting the station.
And in a moment that is very reminiscent of how just people care about each other, just as someone mentions, like maybe we should just draw straws or something. But Batman rejects that idea and says, "No one is drawing straws. We're close. Keep working."
He kicks a door off of its hinges, only to be interrupted by a scream.
And someone saying, "Oh my god, he threw them off. He threw them off the train," pointing to the Joker, who is shrouded in shadow.
Yeah, standing menacingly in a doorway. We zoom in on his smiling face as he points up with a finger and remarks, "Just the big one."
Batman proceeds to charge very angrily toward the Joker.
As his smile turns into a big grin, and he says, "No need to thank me, Bats, just doing my part. Like they say, there's no I in team."
Only for Batman to just yell, "You bastard!"
And grab Joker by the throat as he prepares to hit him with a really big punch.
And before he can, he's like, "You damn bastard!" But in comes
Sims
the villain.
comes on the line. And we were saying Sims. It could be a surprise that it's not really Sims.
The groom. It's not gonna be the groom.
I mean, that actually was my suggestion, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But maybe Sims, maybe the groom, says, "Congratulations to both of you. You completed your task with 44 pounds to spare. Together, you saved hundreds of lives at the cost of only half a dozen."
So six people died.
The 6 people, yeah, it was half a dozen. And we see the Joker, it was his throat being held by Batman's hand as he gives a big smile and a big thumbs up. And we see Batman, eyes shrouded in shadow, his face so dark and gloomy.
This is not a good W for Batman.
Sims continues, the families of the dead may not agree, but it seems a fair trade. And we see the train get turned away from the station as it keeps burning. And he says, enjoy the rest of the ride. We'll talk again soon. And then we get some more technobabble stuff, but this, I feel, might be more important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dick also remarks with your friend is pretty good at what he does.
And Bruce replies, she has her talents, Dick. Looking at the data, it's obvious why Sims tried to bury this. His research went way beyond ethical norms. And he continues, although a synthetic predator cell was successful at destroying nearly all forms of cancer, the hybrid was so aggressive it became intractable. The regenerative powers of the cells were so strong, even dead tissue was restored. Diseased organs made healthy. Severe brain injuries repaired. Lost limbs regenerated. Amazing.
Yeah. And Batman goes on to state that the subjects...
There was a line from Nightwing.
Yeah. But he goes on to mention how the subjects were all desperate and were not fully informed about what was happening to them, stating that their very humanity was being altered without their consent.
And radical treatment manages to stem the mutations, but only temporarily and only in some cases. And Dick is paying attention to the list of patients, quote unquote.
And then he notices a name that we don't get to know, but it seemingly we are informed about who the name is based on what happens.
Yeah.
As Batman confirms that is who Dick thinks it is.
And Mercy has to check on something.
Yeah, he said it tells Dick to stay on this, see where it leads, and that he has to check something. Dick asks where you going, and Batman replies, digging. And we cut to the gravestone of Amanda Sims as digging is happening as Batman stares at the digging.
Not doing it himself.
No, he has his arms crossed. His cape is splayed out, looking like a bat, and he's being very scary as he intimidates this guy who is digging it for him.
Big Bruce Wayne moment for Batman here. Just getting the help.
He's like, Mr. Batman, sir, if y'all don't mind, I'd really like to go home now. Presumably the digging is done, and presumably Amanda Sims is not in her grave, because otherwise this would be a very strange story beat to happen.
Yeah. And we get to the last page.
Yeah, we cut to the GCPD, as someone's like, Bullock, you okay, man? And Bullock says,
yeah. If anybody needs me, I'll be in forensics, as he looks at the latest piece of Gordon he's been given.
Gordon's eye! Gordon's lost a lot. I think this part might be the worst, though.
Yeah, the worst body part yet.
What, he lost, a liver?
Yeah, and there was something in the first issue. Let me just pull up here. Yeah. What was in the bag? Okay, that's like a finger? No.
No? I don't remember, so neither the one.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Appendectomy. Okay, so it's appendix.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's what it was. An appendix.
Yeah. Detective work, right on stream.
Speaking of detective work. But yeah, with this issue's Technobabble, the ability to regenerate dead tissue is mentioned.
Yes.
there's a special event going on where all the heads of people are going on to their tuxedos,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and Harley needs to dress up nice for it. So I assume that maybe a zombie wedding is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be messy.
Yep.
But, yeah, this brutal, grim, bloody comic is also so fucking fun and well written. Honestly, I mentioned The Killing Joke in terms of, like, talking about the quality of the Joker writing, and also just in the quality of it being a very grim, very dark comic, but nonetheless just one that, if you write it well, this kind of thing can work. It's not normally what I go for, and I think it's honestly less to do with it being dark and gritty, and more that when a lot of people go for dark and gritty stuff, they just kind of, I guess, lean on it, rely on it to be the content, rather than crafting a story that includes it.
Yes.
And this definitely feels like it is a story first, and it is a grim piece of media. Maybe not even second, maybe even third or fourth.
Yeah, at any rate, I just really like this.
Yeah.
This is just kind of really good. It just keeps impressing me at every turn. Just how much heart it has, and how much fun it has, and how much it understands these characters and cares about them amidst all the horrible things that are happening to each of them.
It's something that you mentioned, and something we did sort of focus on, but I want to praise just the moment where we get Bruce Wayne reminiscing about how important this train is. How important even the very car that he was lighting on fire specifically was.
Yeah.
And then, like, immediately going into Batman without hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, starting on his plan to burn it to the ground,
Yeah.
tear it to pieces, and destroy it, because that would save lives.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of goes to show, like, just the thinking behind, like, you know, Batman teaming up with the Joker. Just like, he is basically like tearing apart piece by piece, like a lot of his usual, like, beliefs, because, like, it's gonna save people, and he needs to, like, let go of that arrogance that led to the parents dying in issue 3.
Yeah. And once again, Sims has placed Batman in a situation where he is physically unable to save people.
Mm-hmm.
Because something Batman mentioned in issue 3 is, of course, that, like, this isn't what it seems in regards to the puzzle that the Joker was given to solve, because the Joker wouldn't care.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear that, like, or at least it's very much implied by those events that Sims intended all along for Batman to be the one who showed up.
Yeah.
That Sims intended for Batman to intercept, that he was never surprised about it.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, he just wanted Batman to think he was.
Mm-hmm.
And this here, you know, this plan, almost certainly Sims knew that Batman was going to start disassembling the train, trying to break it apart, trying to throw pieces off of it to try and get the weight down.
Mm-hmm.
And he made sure the Joker would be there.
Yeah.
Because the Joker, something that, you know, there's a lot to go on in the Joker's character. But one thing about the Joker that does get brought up now and again is how he is actually sort of like an amazing criminal mastermind. Like, he's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sims could probably reasonably rely on the fact that as it got down to the wire, and as they were in their last moments, and as Batman was failing but refusing to give up, the Joker would kill people.
Yeah.
The Joker would fling those people right off without a second thought, pick exactly, you know, who seemed to be heaviest,
Mm-hmm.
and just fling them off and save everyone else's lives,
Which is
but at the cost
also,
of lives.
yeah.
Which, you know, this situation, Batman tried his hardest. His plan, if it could succeed, it would have.
Mm-hmm.
He was set up to fail, and it's interesting because, like,
Mm-hmm.
Batman's often set up to fail, but usually he does it anyway
Mm-hmm.
in stories. But like, this was literally a no-win situation for him.
Yeah.
There was, and but because the Joker was there, you know,
Just thousands of people lived.
yeah, but it was, Joker did what for Batman is unthinkable,
Mm-hmm.
to kill in order to save. He does not do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, a common quandary people like to bring up, honestly, too often is, why does Batman not simply
Kill
kill
the
his
Joker.
villains? And the reason is, Batman does not kill. He
Mm-hmm.
does not kill, not even to save a life. And that's what this whole train dilemma really was at the core of it. It was
Mm-hmm.
asking, demanding, can you kill to save lives? And Batman, of course, refused because he could never.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just.
Man, this is just really, really something.
hmm
I'm really impressed with just how well this has been executed, and just wow, quite the thing.
Yeah. And yet we are at this point 4 issues into a 7 issue limited series, and
Mm-hmm.
we passed the halfway point in the exact middle of Deadly Duo issue 4.
And it it's still great. We're still buying into it.
Yeah,
We are going
we
to buy
pass
issue 5.
we passed the halfway point at about Buttwing, I think.
Yeah,
By
let's
the
call
look
it
of it.
there. Good old Night Cheeks.
Yeah, Buttwing and Nightseeks,
Hmm.
which were both on the same page.
Very good.
Lovely
Very good
page.
page. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, halfway through, and I am really believing in this.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
This limited run, this limited series, had I had so many mixed feelings going into it. I remember, just because, like, it's
Yeah.
Batman and the Joker, and I want that. Like, there's so much that has been done with Batman and Joker that I found so uninteresting and so boring, and there's so
Mm.
much boring Joker writing that I've seen, and like, it's the stuff that I don't find to be interesting. And to have, a team up, that sounded really neat. But like, with my experience of like how much Joker stuff hasn't been great,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't having high hopes. And then it happened and was just so fun. And I've just been in love with it from the beginning. And even as dark as it's gone, it's never felt cheap.
Yeah.
It's everything that happens feels like, it's
They
building to
earned it.
something.
Yeah.
It's doing something. And at no point does it feel like it's, and it's another important point, no point does it feel like it's giving me a message that I hate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not saying that Batman is wrong for not killing, and
Yeah.
he should be murdering more, or anything like that. It's not doing some try hard grimdark messaging or something.
No.
We're just getting a complex, and honestly, how I'm seeing this so far is just a very ugly story,
Yeah.
in the sense that it's just people and emotions and death and just grime, and at the heart of it, it's just human beings muddling their way through, making the best of it. And that's really hard to write, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Human beings muddling through the grime. You can do it so badly, but I think it's being done really well.
I think so too.
And it's been a very, I think, even as like we had our issues with how Joker was being described,
Yeah.
earlier on, and even as Joker as being, as usual, a very larger than life character. This is some of the most humanizing Joker I've seen since The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
And it's also been a very humanizing look at Batman, who sometimes doesn't always get to be human.
Yeah.
Depending on how much the writer is buying into the mythos of the Batman, which in universe, generally speaking, is meant to be a mythos that the criminals believe in, but we as the readers are supposed to see through it and see that Batman is, in the end of the day, he is Bruce Wayne. He is a man.
Yeah.
He is,
I continue to be very impressed with this comic book.
Yeah, Batman and Joker, Deadly Duo, continues to get top marks from me. Absolutely, I recommend to check it out, even though it's not even done. It's not even done. It's a limited series that has only 3 more issues before I can see it the entirety of the story and really determine whether or not I recommend it. But already, honestly, just read it. Just go out.
I think what we have so far is already worth reading.
Yeah, honestly, especially with this issue, with issue 4, honestly, if you just read these first 4 issues, I don't think you'd be disappointed at all, even if there were no more somehow.
I think, I think at this point, this was not a waste of money. I feel good about buying in, and
this is worthy of your money. It's worthy of your time. It was worth our money and time, and absolutely, this book is great.
And let's just hold on to that feeling. This comic, worthy of your money. It's worth buying, worth reading. It's worth it. You can read it. You feel good or horrible afterward, depending on what part you're focusing on, so on and so forth. But
it's got it all. I mean, yeah. And of course, I gotta, because we've been talking about the art and praising it, but I need to praise it more. Mark Silvestri doing such an amazing job, and the colors as well by
Eric Prianto.
Eric Prianto, just really tying it all together into just a dynamic book, not a deadly book. You won't die from reading it.
No,
definitely a dynamic book. And I talked about something on our first review about the Joker specifically and how he's drawn, and he's drawn in a very particular way, which is that he's not drawn in a particular way. Other characters are very consistent, but the Joker's appearance sort of sifts between a few different, like his face shape is not always the same. The way his hair looks is not always the same. It doesn't get too wild, and of course the Joker has such a distinctive appearance, with his pale skin, blood red lips, green hair, and all that, that, you're never going to mistake him for being anyone other than the Joker.
Right.
But, it feels like a very deliberate choice for him being such a chaotic character that, from moment to moment, he can look completely different. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I learned that Mark Silvestri was, deliberately basing some of these expressions on certain previous incarnations of the Joker.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he looks very familiar to, versions I've seen, and other times less so, and maybe if I was familiar with more, ways the Joker's been drawn, I'd be able to, point it out. It feels like that kind of thing. I'm not sure, but, that's just kind of the vibe I get from all the faces he does and all the ways he's drawn. So much dynamism.
There is such a love for these characters in this comic.
Very much so.
And it's coming from someone who has built a career with which he can use as leverage to tell this incredibly just bold story. I don't think anyone but the CEO of Image Comics could have told this story and been allowed to have it printed and published and available at your local comic shop.
Batman's existed for, God, so many years. What?
80 something.
Yeah, we passed the 80 mark. I think we're building up to the 90 mark at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was 80th anniversary stuff relatively recently,
yes.
in my mind. So Batman's been around for well over 80 years, and he's a character that has been interpreted, reinterpreted, remade, re-envisioned, and all that over and over and over. But like certainly as he's gone on, there are core parts of the character that have been embraced and have been built upon and accepted by writers and readers and all that. And like it's honestly to the point where I feel like it's very difficult and daunting to write Batman at all, just because of how much of a cultural icon the Batman is.
Yeah.
A big reason why I feel like a lot of writers do kind of fall victim to believing in the myth of the Batman. And all this to say, Mark Silvestri's fucking killing it.
Yeah.
Good lord. This is not only a good Batman story, it's a great Batman story. And like, I feel like this is the kind of story that like is not going to come around very often, you know?
So let's appreciate it while it's here.
Yeah, yeah. There will be comics of Batman that you can read and be like, oh yeah, this is really great, this is really wonderful. But like, I don't think a story like what Batman and the Joker is shaping up to be comes around all that often because it is so hard, especially in a medium as difficult and nuanced and layered with things and also dealing with the realities of the world comics books are.
Yeah.
It's so hard to make something and have it reach the heights that I think this is going to reach by the end of it. So yeah, I just wanted
Yeah.
to...
Thanks for sharing.
I just feel very strongly that like this is going to go down as one of the all-time greats.
I'll certainly count it among them if it continues on this track.
Yeah.
And regardless, these first 4 issues, these first 4 books, they've just been good.
Yeah.
So, definitely count on us continuing this and hopefully getting a single issue review of one of these books down.
I probably won't get sick again, at least not for like a month. So when the next issue comes out, we should be reviewing it around when it comes out, not a month later with its other issue.
Yeah.
This is not a deliberate pattern.
It just worked out that way.
I just happened to get sick. So yeah.
Thanks.
I think I've praised this comic as much as I can.
Thanks, Freyo, for tuning in the chat. Thank everyone for watching. Tomorrow we are heavily considering co-streaming the Nintendo Direct that's coming up.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. And also there is a new Sonic comic on the horizon, and we'll be taking a look at that. But
yeah.
Until next time, Freyo's definitely read the comic for yourself if you feel like it might be good for you, Freyo.
Yeah, like Deadly Duo cannot,
Yeah, we've gone over it. But yeah, if you haven't already, please feel free to follow our Twitch channel. We try to stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays like today, Thursdays like 2 days from now. And we should have a VOD up for this momentarily. And if you're watching from that, please feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, and like. Coaster does read the comments.
Yeah. Now that I'm not as sick as before, and I should only be getting better from now, that's supposed to be how it works, right?
It's supposed to be.
Should go back to a more regular streaming schedule. We just lost a whole month from sickness.
And jury duty, but yeah. We'll be doing some stuff. Definitely get some video games back on, but yeah.
Yeah.
Until next time, I'm Felicia Rondo, and that's Cluster over there.
Sure is.
Bye.
Bye-bye.